I'm sitting at my kitchen table, staring at my wife Natalie as she drags her suitcase through the front door like she's hauling a corpse. The wheels screech against our hardwood floors, the same floors we spent 3 weekends refinishing together 2 years ago when we still pretended to like each other. "I'm not sure about us anymore, Eddie," she announces, dropping the handle with theatrical flair. Her lawyer voice is in full swing, the one she uses when she's about to demolish someone in court. This trip to Chicago really made me think about what I want from life. I slide the manila envelope across our dining table. The papers inside rustle like autumn leaves. "Say hi to John for me." Natalie freezes. Her perfectly manicured fingers hover over the envelope flap, and for the first time in months, I see genuine surprise crack her composed facade. She opens it slowly, scanning the divorce papers I had drawn up 3 weeks ago. "How did you—" "The Marriott downtown has excellent Wi-Fi," I say, leaning back in my chair. "Amazing what shows up on our shared cloud storage when you forget to turn off PhotoSync. Particularly interesting were the shots of you and J.D. Dalton sharing room service. My name is Eddie Banks, and I fix security systems for a living. Cameras, alarms, digital locks, the works. People pay me to protect their valuables from thieves. The irony isn't lost on me that I couldn't protect my own marriage from one." Natalie sets down the papers, her shock morphing into that calculating look I used to find attractive. Now it just reminds me of a snake sizing up prey. "Eddie, we can work through this. Marriage counseling. Maybe some time apart." 18 months, I interrupt. "That's how long you've been working late with John. That's how long you've been lying to my face every morning over coffee. That's how long you've been making me feel like I was losing my mind." She straightens her blazer, switching to damage control mode. "You're being dramatic. John and I have a professional relationship." I pull out my phone and scroll to a text message. "Professional. Right. Should I read the one where you called me boring Eddie with his stupid gadgets, or the one where you told him you were only staying married for the financial security?" The color drains from her cheeks. Natalie Banks, Esquire, who never met a cross-examination she couldn't handle, suddenly looks like a defendant caught perjuring herself. "You went through my phone?" "I went through our phone records. Amazing what you can learn when you actually read the bills you've been paying." I stand up, enjoying the rare experience of having the upper hand with my wife. 2,000 text messages in 3 months, late-night calls, weekend work sessions that coincidentally aligned with my business trips. Natalie's jaw tightens. Here comes the counterattack. "So what's your plan, Eddie? Humiliate me? Destroy my career? You always were vindictive when you didn't get your way." "Vindictive?" I laugh, and it comes out sharper than I intended. "Sweetheart, I haven't even started yet." I walk to our front window and point across the street. "Mrs. Henderson was very interested in those photos. So was your mother. And your sister, Jennifer. Oh, and the partners at your firm received copies about an hour ago." "You didn't." "I did. Amazing how quickly gossip travels in a town this size. Your phone's been buzzing for the last 20 minutes. Might want to check those messages." Natalie grabs her phone from her purse, her fingers trembling slightly as she scrolls through what I'm guessing is a flood of shocked responses from friends, family, and colleagues. Her face cycles through several shades of pale. "You're sick," she whispers. "I'm thorough. It's what made me good at my job, and it's what's going to make me very good at this." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. She looks around our living room like she's seeing it for the first time. The framed photos of our wedding, the couch we picked out together, the life we built that she torched for a few thrills with her colleague. "What do you want, Eddie?" "I want you to understand something very clearly," I say, moving closer. "You thought you were playing chess while I was playing checkers, but I've been watching, learning, documenting, every lie, every secret meeting, Every nasty thing you said about me to your friends. Natalie backs toward the door, clutching her phone. This is harassment. I could have you arrested. For what? Sharing photos my wife took on our joint phone plan? Forwarding text messages to people who deserve to know the truth? Please, counsel, enlighten me about which law I've broken. Her legal mind is spinning, looking for an angle, a loophole, some way to regain control. But I've been planning this conversation for weeks, anticipating every argument. You want a divorce? Fine, but you're not walking away clean. You're not going to ride off into the sunset with John while I pick up the pieces. Everyone in this town is going to know exactly what kind of person you are. And what kind of person does that make you? She snaps. I smile, and I can tell from her expression that it's not a pleasant sight. The kind who doesn't get played for a fool twice. Natalie yanks open the front door, her composure finally cracking. This isn't over, Eddie. No, I agree. It's just getting started. She slams the door behind her, and I watch through the window as she fumbles with her car keys, her phone pressed to her ear. Probably calling John, or her best friend Fiona, or her lawyer. Doesn't matter. They can't undo what's already done. I pour myself a scotch and sit back down at the kitchen table. The house feels different now, lighter somehow, like a weight I didn't realize I was carrying has been lifted. My phone buzzes. A text from my old friend Mike Ryder, who owns the Glass Jaw, the local boxing gym and bar where I've been spending most of my free time lately. Heard the news. You okay? I type back, better than okay. The fight's just started. Because that's what this is. A fight. And I've spent the last 3 months training for it, learning my opponent's weaknesses, studying their patterns. Natalie thinks she knows me, thinks I'm the same pushover who used to apologize when she came home late, reeking of another man's cologne. She's about to learn how wrong she is. I walk to my home office, where 3 monitors display various security camera feeds from around town. Not illegal. All public spaces, traffic cams, business security systems I've installed. Information is power, and in a town like ours, everyone's business eventually becomes everyone else's business. Time to accelerate that process. I open my laptop and start typing. Social media posts, carefully crafted to look like concerned observations rather than malicious gossip. A few strategic comments on local Facebook groups. Some anonymous tips to the town's biggest busybodies. By morning, everyone in town will know that Natalie Banks traded her marriage for a fling with her married colleague. They'll know she called her husband boring and stupid. They'll know she's been living a lie for over a year. And that's just the opening move. The next morning hits me like a freight train, made of regret and coffee withdrawal. My phone has been buzzing since 6 a.m. with calls from numbers I don't recognize, and a few I wish I didn't. The local gossip network moves faster than fiber optic internet in this town. I'm standing in my workshop, surrounded by half-finished security installations and the comfortable chaos of a man who actually works for a living, when my business partner Trevor calls. Eddie, what the hell is going on? I've got 3 clients asking if we're stable as a company. Something about your personal life affecting our reputation. I set down my coffee mug next to a motion sensor I've been calibrating. Natalie's doing damage control. What are they saying? That you're unstable, possibly dangerous. There are rumors about harassment, stalking, domestic issues. One client specifically mentioned they were concerned about having someone with anger management problems installing security in their home. The brilliant thing about Natalie is that she never attacks directly. She plants seeds, lets other people draw conclusions, maintains plausible deniability. Classic lawyer tactics. Trevor, you've known me for 8 years. Do I seem unstable to you? No, but then trust me. Natalie's trying to destroy my livelihood because I caught her cheating. She's hoping I'll back down if she threatens my income. There's a pause. Trevor's a good guy, but he's also got a mortgage and 2 kids in college. Eddie, maybe you should consider keeping this private. Work things out quietly. Too late for that. I disconnect, and immediately start planning my response. The thing about being married to a lawyer is you learn how they think. Natalie's strategy is simple. Discredit me professionally and socially. Make me the villain. Force me to choose between my reputation and pursuing the divorce. She's betting I'll take the settlement she offers just to make it stop. She's about to learn that I don't respond well to extortion. I drive to the Glass Jaw, Mike's bar that doubles as an unofficial community center for guys like me. Blue-collar workers who prefer honest conversation to social media drama. The place smells like leather and old beer, with boxing memorabilia covering every wall. Mike's behind the bar, polishing glasses with the methodical precision of an ex-boxer who learned patience the hard way. He's 55, built like a fire hydrant, and one of the few people in town who never pretended to like Natalie. "You look terrible," he says without looking up. "Feel worse. Natalie's telling people I'm dangerous." "Are you?" I consider the question seriously. Not in the way she means. Mike sets down the glass and really looks at me. "What's your plan?" "Escalation. She wants to play dirty. I'll show her what dirty actually looks like." "Be careful, Eddie. This town loves a scandal, but they love a villain more. Don't give them a reason to pick sides against you." I'm about to respond when the door opens and John Dalton walks in. JD, as everyone calls him, is everything I'm not. Tall, perfectly groomed, wearing a suit that costs more than I make in a month. He's got that politician's smile and handshake, the kind of guy who calls everyone buddy and remembers your wife's name at parties. He spots me immediately and walks over with the confidence of a man who thinks he's already won. "Eddie, heard you two are having some troubles. Sorry to hear it." Mike moves down the bar, giving us space but staying within earshot. Smart man. "Are you sorry, John? Because from where I'm sitting, my marriage troubles seem to be working out pretty well for you." JD's smile doesn't waver, but something shifts behind his eyes. "I don't know what Natalie told you, but she didn't tell me anything. The photos told me plenty." I pull out my phone and scroll to one of the clearer images. JD and Natalie in the hotel lobby, his hand on her lower back, her looking up at him like he's the answer to all her prayers. Nice shot, don't you think? The lighting really captures the intimacy of the moment. JD glances around the bar, checking who might be watching. "Look, Eddie, I understand you're upset, but spreading rumors isn't going to help anyone." "Rumors?" I laugh loud enough that the other patrons look over. "John, you're standing in a room full of people who've seen the evidence. Mrs. Patterson from the church committee was particularly interested in the timeline. Seems she's been wondering why you and Natalie have been so friendly at social events." The color drains from his face. Mrs. Patterson runs the social committee that organizes half the town's events. She's also married to the bank president and has a network of gossips that would make the CIA jealous. "You're making a mistake," JD says quietly. "Natalie and I are colleagues. Professional relationships don't usually involve hotel rooms and weekend getaways." I stand up, enjoying the fact that I have to look up at him, but somehow feeling like I'm the one with the high ground. "But hey, I'm just a blue-collar guy who fixes alarm systems. What do I know about professional ethics?" JD steps closer, trying to intimidate me with his height advantage. "You need to stop this, now, before it gets out of hand." "Or what?" "Or people might start wondering why your wife needed to look elsewhere for companionship. Might start asking what kind of husband drives his wife into another man's arms." The bar goes quiet. Mike stops polishing glasses. Even the old-timers playing pool pause their game. I smile and speak loud enough for everyone to hear. The kind who was working 60-hour weeks to pay for his wife's BMW while she was working overtime in hotel rooms with her colleague. Then I do something that surprises everyone, including myself. I pat JD on the shoulder like we're old friends. "But don't worry, John. I'm sure your wife will understand when she finds out. Professional relationships and all that." JD goes pale. "My wife doesn't need to be involved in this." Funny thing about adultery, I say, still smiling. It tends to involve everyone eventually. I leave a 20 on the bar and walk toward the door. See you around, John. Give my regards to Natalie. Outside, I sit in my truck for a few minutes, letting the adrenaline settle. Through the window, I can see JD talking urgently on his phone, probably calling Natalie to report that her husband isn't rolling over as expected. My phone buzzes, a text from an unknown number. This is harassment. Stop immediately or face legal consequences. I text back, "This is Eddie. Who is this?" No response. I drive home, planning my next move. Natalie wants to threaten legal action? Fine. I've got something better than threats. I've got the truth, and in a town this size, the truth spreads faster than wildfire. Time to add some fuel to the flames. 3 days later, I'm installing a new security system for the Hendersons when Mrs. Henderson brings me a glass of iced tea and the latest gossip. "Eddie, dear, I hope you don't mind me asking, but is it true about John Dalton's gambling problem?" I nearly drop my drill. Gambling problem? Oh yes, Margaret Patterson heard it from her husband at the bank. Apparently John's been taking cash advances on multiple credit cards, some rather large amounts too. This is news to me, but I keep my expression neutral. "I wouldn't know anything about that, Mrs. Henderson." "Of course not, dear. It's just that people are saying it might explain why he was so eager to, well, you know, get close to Natalie. Her family has money." I finish mounting the camera and climb down from the ladder. "Mrs. Henderson, I appreciate your concern, but I try not to listen to gossip." She nods approvingly. "You're taking the high road. Very admirable. Though I must say, if someone was spreading lies about my husband being dangerous, I might not be so charitable." After I finish the installation, I sit in my truck and think about this new information. JD has a gambling problem. That explains the expensive clothes, the flashy car, the need to maintain appearances. It also explains why a successful lawyer would risk his career for an affair with a colleague's wife. I drive to the public library and spend 2 hours researching public records. Court filings, property records, business licenses. Amazing what you can learn when you know where to look. John Dalton owns a condo worth $400,000 with a mortgage of $350,000. He drives a BMW lease that costs $800 a month. His law firm salary is good, but not good enough to support his lifestyle without additional income. Or additional debt. I cross-reference his address with local police reports and find 3 noise complaints in the past year, all on weekend nights, all related to loud parties with multiple vehicles in the parking lot. Poker games. My phone rings. It's my daughter Emma calling from college. "Dad, what's going on? Mom called me crying, saying you're trying to destroy her career." Emma's 18, smart as a whip, and has always been closer to her mother. I knew this conversation was coming. "Your mother and I are getting divorced, sweetheart. It's complicated. She said you're spreading lies about her online, that you're harassing her friends and colleagues." I pull into a parking space and give Emma my full attention. "Did she tell you why we're getting divorced?" "She said you grew apart, that you became controlling and suspicious." "Emma, your mother has been having an affair for over a year, with a married man from her law firm. I have photos, text messages, hotel receipts. I'm not spreading lies." Silence on the other end. Then, "That doesn't give you the right to humiliate her publicly." "Doesn't it? She humiliated me privately for 18 months. She made me think I was losing my mind, that I was paranoid and jealous. She was planning to leave me for another man while pretending everything was fine." "So, you decided to get revenge?" The disappointment in her voice cuts deeper than I expected. "I decided to tell the truth." "Dad, this isn't like you. You're better than this." After Emma hangs up, I sit in the parking lot feeling like garbage. Maybe she's right. Maybe I am better than this. But better men than me have been walked over, cheated on, and discarded. Better men than me have lost their families while trying to take the high road. I'm not interested in being a better man anymore. I drive to the office supply store and print 50 copies of a single photograph, JD and Natalie kissing in the hotel lobby. Not grainy surveillance footage, but a clear, well-lit image that leaves no room for interpretation. Then I drive to the community center where tonight's town council meeting is being held. The monthly meetings are usually boring affairs attended by retirees and local business owners. Tonight's agenda includes a discussion about the annual Founders Festival, which means most of the town's social committee will be present. I arrive early and place a photograph under the windshield wiper of every car in the parking lot. Then I go home and wait. My phone starts ringing at 9:30. First Mike, then Trevor, then numbers I don't recognize. I let them all go to voicemail and pour myself a scotch. At 10:15, Natalie calls. "You're insane," she says without preamble. Completely, utterly insane. "How was the town council meeting? I heard there was quite a discussion about community values." "You humiliated me in front of the entire town, in front of people I have to work with, live with, see every day for the rest of my life." "Funny thing about adultery," I say, echoing my words to JD from the bar. "It tends to be humiliating when people find out about it." "I'm filing a restraining order tomorrow. Harassment, stalking, intentional infliction of emotional distress. I'll have you arrested." "For what? Taking photographs in a public hotel lobby? Sharing information about my own wife's behavior during our divorce proceedings? Good luck with that." "Eddie, please, we can work this out. We can go to counseling, try to rebuild." "Rebuild what? Our marriage? You torched that 18 months ago. Our friendship? Hard to be friends with someone who thinks I'm boring and stupid. Our family? You involved Emma in this when you called her crying about what a terrible person I am." There's a long pause. "What do you want?" "I want you to understand that actions have consequences. I want JD to explain to his wife why photos of him kissing another man's wife are circulating around town. I want everyone who called me unstable and dangerous to see exactly what kind of people they were defending." "And then what? What's your endgame here?" I consider the question. What do I want? My marriage back? That's impossible. My old life back? That's gone forever. Revenge? Maybe, but revenge for what exactly? For being lied to? For being made to feel crazy? For 18 months of living with someone who looked at me like I was an inconvenience? "I want you to stop pretending you're the victim here," I finally say. "I want you to own what you did and face the consequences like an adult." "Fine. You want me to own it? I'll own it. Yes, I had an affair. Yes, I lied to you. Yes, I said terrible things about you to other people. But you know what, Eddie? Some of those things were true. You are boring. You do spend more time with your gadgets than with people. You did make me feel invisible in my own marriage." Her words hit like physical blows, but I keep my voice steady. "So, you decided to cheat instead of asking for a divorce." "I decided to find someone who made me feel alive again. Someone who listened when I talked, who made me laugh, who treated me like I was worth pursuing. Someone who's married with 2 kids and a gambling problem." Another pause. "What gambling problem?" "Ask John about his weekend poker games. Ask him about the cash advances and credit card debt. Ask him why he really needs a wealthy wife." The line goes quiet except for Natalie's breathing. "You're lying." "Am I? When's the last time JD paid for dinner? When's the last time he took you somewhere that cost him money instead of you?" I can practically hear her mind working, reviewing their relationship through this new lens. "Even if that's true, it doesn't change what you've done. The photos, the public humiliation, turning the whole town against me. I didn't turn anyone against you, Natalie. I just showed them who you really are." She hangs up, and I finish my scotch in the quiet of my empty house. Tomorrow, I'll probably regret this conversation. Tomorrow, I'll probably wish I'd handled things differently, taken the high road, been the better person. But tonight, for the first time in 18 months, I feel like I'm not the one being played. The restraining order arrives on Thursday morning, delivered by Deputy Martinez with an apologetic shrug. Natalie's moving fast, trying to regain control of the narrative before it spirals completely out of her hands. I read through the legal document while Deputy Martinez waits. Standard stuff. Stay away from Natalie's workplace. No contact except through lawyers. No harassment or intimidation. What's interesting is what's not included. No mention of social media, no restrictions on talking to mutual friends, no prohibition against sharing information about our marriage. Either Natalie's lawyer is incompetent, or they know they can't legally stop me from telling the truth. Any questions about the order? Deputy Martinez asks. Just one. Does this prevent me from attending public events where my wife might be present? As long as you maintain distance and don't approach or communicate with her, you should be fine. But Eddie? He lowers his voice. Maybe consider letting this cool down. Town's getting pretty worked up about the whole situation. After he leaves, I call my lawyer, Patricia Wong, who's been handling my divorce paperwork. Eddie, what the hell are you doing? I've got 3 calls from Natalie's attorney threatening everything from harassment charges to a civil lawsuit. Are any of their threats legally viable? That's not the point. You're making this divorce exponentially more expensive and complicated. And frankly, you're making yourself look vindictive. I am vindictive. My wife cheated on me for 18 months and then tried to destroy my reputation when I found out. Vindictive seems appropriate. Patricia sighs. What's your end game here? Because if it's getting a better settlement, this approach is going to backfire. If it's winning custody of Emma, you're destroying your chances. If it's just revenge, then you're succeeding. But at what cost? It's a fair question. What is my end game? I want them to face real consequences, I say finally. Not just a quiet divorce and a fresh start. I want everyone to know what they did. They're facing consequences. Natalie's reputation is damaged, possibly permanently. JD's marriage is in trouble. Their careers are affected. How much more do you want? More. That evening, I drive to the Glass Jaw to clear my head. Mike's working the bar, and the usual crowd of regulars is discussing the latest developments in what they're calling the Banks situation. Evening, Eddie, calls out Pete Morrison, a contractor who's known me for 15 years. Heard you got served with papers today. News travels fast. Faster than usual when it involves lawyers and adultery, says Frank Kowalski, settling onto the bar stool next to me. What's your next move? I order a beer and consider the question. The smart move would be to back down, let the lawyers handle the divorce, try to rebuild my reputation quietly. The satisfying move would be to keep escalating until Natalie and JD are completely destroyed. Haven't decided yet. Mike slides my beer across the bar. Maybe it's time to consider that you've made your point. Before I can respond, the door opens and Fiona Marks walks in. Natalie's best friend, confidant, and according to my research, the person who's been coordinating Natalie's counterattack strategy. Fiona's 41, divorced, works in marketing for a local real estate company, and has never liked me. She's also been feeding information to Natalie about town gossip, helping her anticipate and respond to each new revelation. She walks directly to my table, ignoring the curious stares from the other patrons. We need to talk, she says. I don't think that's a good idea, given the restraining order. The order is against contacting Natalie, not me. 5 minutes. Outside. I follow her to the parking lot, curious about what Natalie sent her to say. This has to stop, Fiona says without preamble. You've made your point. Everyone knows about the affair. Natalie's humiliated, JD's marriage is falling apart, and you've gotten your revenge. Enough. Interesting that you think it's enough. What does Natalie think? Natalie thinks you've lost your mind. She's scared, Eddie. Actually scared of what you might do next. Good. She should be scared. She should have been scared 18 months ago when she decided to lie to my face every morning. Fiona steps closer, lowering her voice. You want to know the truth? Fine. Yes, she had an affair. Yes, she said terrible things about you. But you know what else is true? You checked out of that marriage years ago. You stopped trying, stopped caring, stopped making any effort to be the kind of husband she needed. So it's my fault she cheated? It's your fault she felt alone enough to look elsewhere. It's your fault she felt invisible in her own home. You want to blame her for the affair? Fine. But take some responsibility for the marriage that died long before JD came along. The words sting because there's truth in them. I did check out. I did stop trying. I got comfortable, complacent, assumed Natalie would always be there no matter how little effort I put in. But that doesn't excuse 18 months of lies. Even if that's true, I say, she could have asked for a divorce. She could have gone to counseling. She could have done anything except lie to me for a year and a half. She tried talking to you. You were always working, always distracted, always had some project that was more important than her feelings. When? When did she try talking to me? Fiona pulls out her phone and scrolls through text messages. Here, from 8 months ago. Tried to talk to Eddie about us again tonight. He barely looked up from his laptop. I don't think he'd notice if I disappeared tomorrow. She shows me more messages, a months-long record of Natalie's frustration, loneliness, and growing resentment. It's painful to read, not because it's untrue, but because it's completely accurate. I was a terrible husband long before she became a cheating wife. So what do you want from me? I ask. I want you to stop. Drop the public campaign, finalize the divorce quietly, and let everyone move on with their lives. And if I don't? Fiona's expression hardens. Then we start fighting back, really fighting back. You think Natalie's the only one with secrets? You think your reputation can't be damaged further? What's that supposed to mean? It means everyone knows you've been obsessing over this for months. Everyone knows you installed cameras and tracking software to spy on your wife. Everyone knows you've been collecting information on people, building files, planning this whole campaign. She's right, and we both know it. I've been so focused on exposing Natalie's secrets that I haven't considered how my own behavior looks to outside observers. People are starting to wonder what kind of man does what you've done, Fiona continues. They're wondering if maybe Natalie had good reasons for looking elsewhere. They're wondering if maybe you're not the victim you're pretending to be. I study her face in the parking lot light. Is that a threat? It's a warning. From someone who's known you both for years and doesn't want to see this get any uglier. Too late for that. Fiona shakes her head. It's not too late, but it will be soon. Make the right choice, Eddie, for everyone's sake. She walks back to her car, leaving me alone in the parking lot with a decision to make. I can stop now, take the high road, let the lawyers handle the rest. Preserve what's left of my reputation and try to rebuild my relationship with Emma. Or I can finish what I started. I think about Natalie's text messages, her months of complaints about feeling invisible and unheard. I think about my own failures as a husband, my complacency and neglect. Then I think about 18 months of lies, of being made to feel crazy, of watching my wife smile at me over breakfast while planning her next rendezvous with another man. Some things can't be forgiven. Some things shouldn't be. The Founders Festival arrives on a perfect Saturday morning in October, with clear skies and the kind of crisp air that makes everyone in town forget why they ever wanted to live anywhere else. Main Street is closed to traffic, lined with vendor booths selling everything from handmade crafts to funnel cakes. The stage at the center of the park is set up for the afternoon's entertainment and speeches. I've been planning this day for 3 weeks. I arrive early, before most of the vendors finish setting up, and walk through the festival grounds like a general surveying a battlefield. The stage has a sound system I installed 2 years ago. The power distribution boxes are ones I've serviced. The security cameras monitoring the event feed to a system I designed. Home field advantage. Mike finds me near the bandstand. carrying 2 cups of coffee and wearing the expression of a man who knows his friend is about to do something stupid. "Last chance to reconsider," he says, handing me a cup. "I'm not reconsidering." "Eddie, whatever you're planning, think about the consequences. Not just for Natalie and JD, but for you, for Emma, for everyone who cares about you." I sip the coffee and watch families setting up folding chairs near the stage, kids running between the vendor booths, couples holding hands, elderly residents greeting neighbors they've known for decades. This is my town too. These are my people too. They made their choices, I say. Now they get to live with the consequences. The festival officially opens at 10 a.m. By 11, the crowd has swelled to several hundred people, nearly a quarter of the town's population. I spot Natalie near the information booth, wearing a sundress and sunglasses, talking to members of the social committee like nothing has changed. JD is noticeably absent. I work my way through the crowd, greeting people I've known for years, accepting their awkward condolences about my marriage, deflecting questions about the restraining order. Most people are polite but curious. A few are openly supportive. A handful seem to blame me for airing dirty laundry in public. At noon, I excuse myself from a conversation about security system upgrades and walk to the maintenance building behind the stage. The door is locked, but I installed this lock 3 years ago. Muscle memory guides my fingers through the override sequence, and I slip inside unnoticed. The building houses the electrical and sound equipment for the festival. More importantly, it houses the control booth for the stage's audio-visual system. I connect my laptop to the soundboard and upload the presentation I've been preparing for weeks. Photos, text messages, bank records, timeline documents, everything I've collected over the past months, organized into a coherent narrative that tells the complete story of my marriage's destruction. Then I wait. The afternoon entertainment begins at 2 p.m. with a local high school band, followed by speeches from the mayor and various community leaders. At 3:30, there's a brief technical break before the final speaker. This year, it's supposed to be Judge Patterson talking about the town's history and values. During the technical break, I activate my presentation. The large screen behind the stage, normally used for displaying sponsor logos and community announcements, suddenly fills with a photo of Natalie and JD kissing in the hotel lobby. A murmur runs through the crowd. People point at the screen, pull out their phones, start taking pictures. The festival coordinator, a nervous young woman named Beth, runs to the control booth and starts frantically pressing buttons. Nothing happens. I've locked out the local controls. The photo changes to a text message conversation between Natalie and JD, with timestamps showing they were exchanging intimate messages while I was installing security systems for their neighbors. Then bank records showing JD's gambling debts and cash advances. Then more photos from their various meetings and trips. Then text messages where Natalie calls me boring, stupid, and emotionally unavailable. Then a timeline showing 18 months of lies, deceptions, and betrayals. The crowd has gone completely silent except for the clicking of phone cameras and the occasional gasp of recognition. I watch from the maintenance building as Natalie pushes through the crowd toward the stage, her face pale with shock and rage. She grabs the microphone from the bewildered festival coordinator. "This is harassment!" she shouts into the microphone, her voice echoing across the park. "This is the work of a vindictive, unstable man who can't accept that his marriage failed." The crowd turns to look at her, hundreds of faces reflecting curiosity, judgment, and fascination. "These photos are taken out of context," she continues. "These messages are private communications that have been manipulated and edited." But even as she speaks, more evidence appears on the screen behind her. Hotel receipts with dates and times. Credit card statements showing charges at restaurants and bars during their secret meetings. Phone records documenting thousands of calls and texts between them. Someone in the crowd shouts, "What about JD's wife? Does she know about this?" Another voice, "How long has this been going on?" Natalie looks around desperately, searching for allies, for support, for someone to help her regain control of the situation. She finds none. I step out of the maintenance building and walk toward the stage, making no effort to hide my involvement. The crowd parts as I approach, creating a clear path between me and my wife. "Hello, Natalie," I say, loud enough for everyone to hear. She spins around, the microphone still in her hand. "You're violating the restraining order. Someone call the police." I'm in a public place, maintaining appropriate distance, and exercising my right to free speech, I reply. Everything on that screen is true, documented, and legally obtained. Deputy Martinez appears at the edge of the crowd, but he makes no move to intervene. He's seen the evidence too. "You want to know what kind of man does this?" I ask, addressing the crowd as much as Natalie. "The kind who spent 18 months being told he was paranoid and jealous, while his wife planned a new life with another man? The kind who was made to feel crazy for noticing that something was wrong in his own home?" The screen behind us changes to show a photo of our wedding day, young, happy, full of hope and promises. "The kind who believed in marriage vows," I continue, "who thought, for better or worse, meant something. Who assumed that if his wife was unhappy, she'd talk to him instead of talking to her lover about what a disappointment he was." Natalie's composure finally cracks completely. "You were a disappointment. You checked out of our marriage years ago. You ignored me, dismissed me, made me feel invisible in my own home." The crowd murmurs. Some nod in understanding. Others look uncomfortable. "You're right," I say, and the admission surprises everyone, including myself. "I was a terrible husband. I did check out. I did take you for granted. I did fail you in dozens of ways over the years." Natalie blinks, clearly not expecting this acknowledgement. "But you know what I didn't do?" I continue. "I didn't lie to your face every morning for 18 months. I didn't make you feel crazy for trusting your instincts. I didn't plan a secret life with someone else while pretending everything was fine." The screen shows our last anniversary dinner, both of us smiling at the camera while she texted JD under the table. "I didn't humiliate you in front of your friends and family. I didn't make you wonder if you were losing your mind. I didn't steal 18 months of your life by making you live in a lie." Natalie drops the microphone and runs toward the parking lot, pushing through the crowd with tears streaming down her face. I watch her go, feeling empty rather than victorious. The crowd begins to disperse, people talking in small groups, processing what they've witnessed. Some approach me with words of support, others avoid eye contact and hurry away. Mike appears at my side. "Feel better now?" I look around at the festival grounds, at the families packing up their chairs, at the vendors closing their booths early because the afternoon's entertainment has been thoroughly disrupted. "No," I say honestly, "I don't feel better at all, but I feel finished." The screen behind the stage goes dark, and the festival's sound system returns to normal. Judge Patterson takes the microphone and tries to restore some dignity to the proceedings, but everyone knows the real show is over. I walk home through streets I've lived on for 20 years, past houses where I've installed security systems, past neighbors who now know more about my private life than they ever wanted to. My phone buzzes constantly, calls from reporters, lawyers, curious acquaintances, and people I haven't heard from in years. I turn it off and sit on my front porch, watching the sun set on the worst day of several people's lives. Tomorrow, there will be consequences. Legal challenges, professional repercussions, social fallout. Emma will probably never forgive me. My reputation in this town is permanently altered. But tonight, for the first time in 18 months, I'm not the only one whose life has been turned upside down by the truth. Sometimes that's the best revenge you can hope for.